in the dead of night on a moonless Afghan sky. A Black Hawk helicopter cut through the air like a phantom. Inside, Senior Chief Petty Officer Mark Raptor Riley and his SEAL Team 6 unit were on a high-stakes mission. Their target was a notorious warlord, codenamed the Ghost, who had been orchestrating attacks on coalition forces for months. Intelligence had pinpointed his location to a fortified compound deep in hostile territory. As the helicopter descended, the team rappelled down with silent precision. The air was thick with tension. They moved like shadows, breaching the compound's outer wall without a sound. Each member knew their role, their movements a symphony of deadly efficiency. They cleared room after room, encountering light resistance that was quickly neutralized. But the Ghost was nowhere to be found. Finally, they reached the main structure. A heavy, reinforced door stood in their way. After planting a small breaching charge, the door blew inwards with a deafening blast. The team poured in, weapons raised, ready for anything. The room was a command center filled with maps, radios, and half-eaten meals. It was empty. Frustration began to set in. Had their intel been bad? Then, a faint sound from a hidden side room caught Raptor's ear. He signaled to his team, his hand gestures sharp and clear. 2 men stacked up on the door while Raptor prepared to enter. With a swift kick, the door swung open. Inside, a lone figure stood by a small window, silhouetted against the dim light. It was a woman, her hands raised in surrender. She was dressed in local attire, but something about her posture seemed out of place. It was too calm, too composed. Raptor kept his rifle trained on her. "On your knees, hands behind your head. Now!" he commanded, his voice a low growl. The woman complied slowly, her movements deliberate. As one of his teammates secured her wrists, Raptor scanned the room. It was sparse, containing only a cot and a small wooden chest. No sign of the Ghost. "Where is he?" Raptor demanded, kneeling in front of her. "Where is the Ghost?" The woman just looked at him, her eyes holding an unreadable expression. They were a startling shade of green, a stark contrast to her surroundings. She said nothing. Raptor felt a flicker of annoyance. They didn't have time for games. "I'm not going to ask again. Where is the warlord?" Still, she remained silent. Her gaze was intense, as if she were looking right through him. He decided to try a different approach, a standard procedure to identify potential hostiles or gather intel. "What's your name?" he asked, his tone softening slightly. He expected a local name, maybe a plea for her life. What he got instead sent a jolt through his entire body. Her lips parted, and she spoke for the first time. Her voice was steady, clear, and laced with an accent he hadn't heard in years. It was American. "My call sign was Sparrow," she said. "My name is Special Agent Kate Mercer, CIA. I was declared killed in action 7 years ago." Raptor froze. The name hit him like a physical blow. Kate Mercer. He knew that name. Everyone in the Special Operations community knew that name. She was a legend, a brilliant field agent who had disappeared during a deep cover operation in this very region. She was presumed dead, a martyr whose name was etched onto a memorial wall back in Langley. He stared at her, his mind racing to process the impossible. He remembered the briefings, the hushed conversations about the ghost agent who had gotten too close and paid the ultimate price. He had even trained with guys who had worked with her. They spoke of her with a mixture of reverence and sorrow. And now she was kneeling in front of him, alive. His training kicked in, fighting through the shock. Could this be a trap? A doppelganger? A ploy by the enemy? "Prove it," he said, his voice strained. "Give me something only Kate Mercer would know." She held his gaze, her green eyes unwavering. "Operation Nightfall, Kandahar, 2012. You were a young petty officer then. Call sign Raptor. Your team was pinned down in the Arghandab River Valley. You called for an emergency exfil, but your comms were jammed. I was your handler on that op. I disobeyed a direct order from the station chief, rerouted a drone to get a visual, and guided a quick reaction force to your position by sending coordinates through a burner phone. The abort code I gave you was Blue Jay singing. You wouldn't be alive today if I hadn't." The air left Raptor's lungs. Every detail was correct. It was a classified detail of an operation that had almost cost him and his team everything. It was a secret he had carried for years, a debt he thought he could never repay to a ghost. The woman in front of him wasn't just alive, she had saved his life. He slowly lowered his rifle, signaling his team to stand down. The shock on their faces mirrored his own. "Sparrow," he breathed, the call sign feeling foreign and yet familiar on his tongue. "What happened to you? We all thought you were dead." A shadow passed over her face. "It's complicated," she said. "Getting captured was part of the plan. Being declared dead wasn't. I had to go deeper." She glanced around the room. "And as for your target," you're looking at her. Raptor's world tilted on its axis once more. Kate Mercer, the heroic CIA agent, was the ghost. It didn't make sense. "What are you talking about?" "To get to the top of the syndicate, I had to become the top," she explained, her voice low and urgent. "The ghost isn't a person, it's a title. I took it 6 months ago. From this position, I've dismantled the network from the inside out, feeding intel to our side, stopping attacks before they happened, redirecting their resources. The very intel that brought you here tonight, it came from me." It was an audacious, almost insane plan. A 7-year-long con where she had sacrificed her name, her life, her very identity to become the monster she was sent to destroy, all to tear it down from within. Raptor looked at the woman before him, no longer seeing a captive or a target, but a soldier who had endured an isolation he couldn't even imagine. She had been fighting a war all by herself, in the dark, for 7 long years. "My mission is almost complete," she continued, "but I have one last move to make, and I need your help. The real masterminds behind this network aren't here. They're financiers and political figures who think they're untouchable. I have everything on them. Ledgers, communications, locations. It's all in a hidden compartment in this room." Raptor made a decision. Protocol, orders, and the mission brief all went out the window. This went far beyond capturing a single warlord. This was about honoring the sacrifice of a true hero and finishing her fight. "What do you need?" he asked, his voice filled with a newfound respect. Kate, or Sparrow, finally allowed a small, tired smile to touch her lips. "I need a ride home, Chief, and I need you to help me expose them all." That night, SEAL Team 6 left the compound not with a prisoner, but with a ghost who had come back from the dead. The mission had changed. It was no longer about capturing a warlord, it was about delivering justice. For Senior Chief Raptor Riley, it was about repaying a 7-year-old debt to the woman who had saved his life, and was now about to change the course of the war itself. The world thought Kate Mercer was a memory. They were about to find out she was a reckoning. Thank you for watching. If you were captivated by this story of courage and sacrifice, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more incredible true stories. See you next time.